Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of This Week in Real Estate. I'm your host, I'm Ray, and we are broadcasting live Wednesday, 2024 on YouTube, Instagram, everywhere. I have to hit the go live on Instagram separately. So it's always, now that we've added those two, I'm really happy to include the Instagram audience, but it does require a couple more clicks. So thanks everybody for joining the show.
Unknown call.
We have a full docket today. We've got 12 articles to cover, and it's all kind of related to this main topic of what is the real reason why housing inventory is so minimal. We're going to dive into that today. We're also going to talk about the Sitzer Burnett decision right off the top, update on that. And this is a big week for me because in 4 days, it's my birthday. So I'm going to be partying for myself too. But thanks everybody for joining. Because of your guys' support and watching the show, we're actually a member of the YouTube Partner Program. Yay! We have 7,000 something subscribers, I think. So I love all you guys. Thank you for subscribing. Thanks for tuning in. And if you would take just a second and share the show with someone else that's in real estate that you may think might benefit from the show. And if you're joining us live, you could comment, and I could display your comment on the show, just like Olivier. He said, housing is down because I decided it should be down. Look no further. Just like a Canadian. And yes, he did point out my my typo. What kind of cake for my birthday? That's a great question. I'm going to bring the volume down a little bit because the type of cake for my birthday, I love the devil's food cake, and there's a homemade icing that's this white icing that we put on it. It is absolutely incredible. So that's my favorite cake by far. So I'm definitely going to partake in that. That being said, I won't be here next week because I will be vacationing for my birthday. So that's a fun birthday present. Okay. Janice, she says, good afternoon and happy birthday, Ray. Thank you, Janice. Thanks for joining on the YouTubes. If you're on YouTube or Facebook, LinkedIn, you can comment and I can display your comment. If you're watching on Instagram, hey guys on Instagram, I see you guys tuning in. I can read your comment, but I can't display it. So, let's see. Fannie Fleming Realtor said, yes, you're a good Southern guy. Oh, thank you. So I will tell people your username and your comment whenever I can. We do have a lot to cover today, 12 articles. I want to dive right into it because I think it's kind of interesting to see where we are in this whole process of the NAR decision and all this jazz. So right off the jump, Sitzer judge grants preliminary approval for NAR settlement. So the judge, Stephen R. Bowe, ruled that the sweeping changes NAR agreed to were fair, reasonable, and adequate, and set a final approving for hearing for November. Now, an interesting twist in this is there was also a panel of judges that said, hey, I know part of this settlement says that you'll be insulated from future lawsuits, but that's not necessarily true. So I'm curious to know how that's going to play out or if that's normal. So if you're a legal beagle and watching, chime in and let me know. Is that a normal thing to do? Because I feel like a lot of people were rushing to the settlement in order to get protection. And now that they don't have that protection, this essentially sets a precedent for a dollar amount of any future damages. So we'll see. I guess they're just leaving it there and hoping that it will be okayed. So the order makes it increasingly likely that the realtors will operate under new rules within a few months, which NAR has agreed to implement as a set of changes governing the industry. Under the terms of the settlement, NAR agreed to establish rules preventing the display of cooperative compensation within the MLS by mid-July. So mid-July, you will never see buyer agent compensation in the MLS again. We're going old school, y'all. NAR will also pay $418 million over the next 4 years, and plaintiffs' attorneys said that Friday filing the settlement amounted to greater than 50% of NAR's assets. That's wild. The rule changes are wildly expected to provide added transparency into how real estate agents are compensated, and some experts believe the changes will lead to more negotiation around real estate commissions paid by buyers and sellers in the near future. I think that statement's 100% true. One of the, I see people kind of on both sides of the issue saying, well, this doesn't allow transparency because it hides the commission. That's also true. But in a lot of states, the transparency that they're talking about there is actually having a buyer agent agreement and it clearly spelling out how the buyer agent is paid. In our state, we've already had that. We've had that for years. So whenever we hear that this rule change allows added transparency, we say, no, I mean, you're hiding the commission. How's that added transparency? That's not added transparency. But on the other side of it, in states that don't have the buyer broker agreements, this does have transparency. So the buyer knows exactly how the transaction, how that agent gets paid and how the transaction takes place. So it's always been NAR's goal to resolve the litigation any way that preserves the consumer choice and protects our members from the greatest extent possible. The proposed settlement achieves both of those goals and provides a path for us to move forward and continue to preserve, protect, and advance the right for real property for all. Let's see. Bo also agreed to certify the proposed settlement class, which would include the following: homes listed on Moral MLS, March 6, 2015, to the date of the class notice. Homes listed on Burnett MLS, April 29th, 2014, to the date of the class action notice. Homes listed at MLS Penn, December 17th, 2016, to the date of the class action. Homes in Arkansas, Kentucky, and Missouri, but not on the Moral MLS, the Burnett MLS, the MLS Penn's MLS, October 31st, 2018, to the date of the class action notice. Homes in Alabama, Georgia, Indiana, Maine, Michigan, Minnesota, New Jersey, Pennsylvania, Tennessee, Vermont, Washington, and Wyoming, but not on the Moral MLS, the Burnett MLS, or the Penn MLS, October 31st, 2017, to the date of the class action. And for all other homes, October 31st, 2019, to the date of class action notice. So that is the settlement class that has been proposed and certified by the judge. Ketchmark's loving it. He says it's a huge step towards bringing the necessary relief to homeowners nationwide. Oh, gosh. NAR negotiated a way for large brokers, and we reach settlements almost daily. The long, ingrained mandatory compensation is finally dead. We shall see. Actually, it's really funny. I was on a call yesterday, a mastermind call with someone that does a lot of work with the institutional investors that everyone hates, but I'm saying everyone hates tongue in cheek. He talks about how much inventory they've been adding to the market and how he's selling properties for them, which you don't hear on the TikToks. Anyway, he said that the institutional investors are saying there is no way we're going to be making purchases without real estate agents involved. So I think there's a lot of people in the business who understand the value of the real estate agent, and I don't foresee that many changes with the majority of purchases. The issue is going to be whether or not a buyer agent can justify their compensation to the buyer and then make offers to sellers in a way that secures that compensation. So we will see how well they do. John Canning, he's maybe I shouldn't have outed him. He texted me this, but I think it's fine. He's a friend of the show, listener of the show. He said that for years, if you look at it, listing agents have been propping up poor buyer agents and by offering a compensation that maybe they weren't deserved. And so now you have a situation in which those buyer agents have to kind of prove their worth. And that will do a couple of things. One is it's going to eliminate some buyer agents that can't prove their worth. That's just a natural ebb and flow. That's not like a real big aha. But the other thing it's going to do is it's going to put buyers maybe a little bit in the driver's seat as far as interviews go. I talked to several agents that have never been to a buyer consultation. We do buyer consultation with all of our buyers because we have to prove our value at the point of the buyer consultation in order for them to sign up with us in the state that we've been in. So we've been using the buyer broker agreement since 2007. So that's when I got started in real estate. All right. So in lieu of that, the 60-day clock that other brokerages have to settle the settlement also started to yesterday. So this is yesterday. So the 60-day clock begins for brokerages seeking to opt into the $418 million NAR deal. Attorneys for the plaintiffs Friday filed a motion of preliminary approval of the deal, which would require NAR to pay the $418 million, which we just talked about. NAR would also agree not to create rules allowing listing agents to set compensation for buyer brokers. Okay, that's more of this. So here's the estimated time of key upcoming milestones. We are in late April. That was the decision for preliminary approval. June 18th is the deadline for realtor MLSs to execute Appendix B in order to be included as a released party. The deadline for brokerages to execute Appendix C in order to be included and released, and the deadline for non-realtor MLSs to execute Appendix D. So if you owned a brokerage in this amount of time and you want to be sure that you're included, you may want to ask your attorney what you should be doing here. Late July, NAR to implement the practice of changes. So that's when that's going to happen. The taking the buyer agent compensation out of the MLS. So that's what's coming up. The settlement was informed by substantial monetary practice change and cooperation relief against the risk, cost, and delay of further litigation, including appeals, as well as the limitations on NAR's ability to pay the full amount. Yeah, basically the full amount of the judgment would have bankrupted the organization. So they couldn't do it. And if they continued to fight it and lost, it would bankrupt the organization. So they couldn't do it, which is why they reached a settlement. All right, so that's where we are. That's your update on the Sitzer Burnett and the NAR lawsuit. Now, something interesting happened with all this. And if you were paying close attention, if you look at the NAR membership numbers, you may have seen it. But if you haven't checked the NAR membership data in a while, and you hopped over to their website to see exactly what's happening, you might notice that the NAR appears to be hiding membership data. So I went to their website and just tried to use their little help section to see if I could find it. I couldn't find it. I used the help chat. I was like, hey, where's that membership data that used to be here? And they're like, it's no longer on the website. I said, why? And they're like, please direct your questions to media@NAR. It's like, okay. So if you may recall at the start of the year, seeing industry headlines, NARC's third consecutive decline in membership. That was in February. That's because monthly reports from the National Association of Realtors were showing just that, declines in membership. But now those monthly reports, along with the historic membership data, are missing from the NAR website. NAR removed the membership reports. On a recent episode of the Real Estate Rundown, Kayla Laus, CEO and founder of Zudilio, revealed an interesting finding after sitting down to do her monthly analysis of NAR membership numbers. She said NAR had the membership reports published all the way back to the 1970s, and all of them have been deleted from the site. Oh, no. Rambo_realtor on Instagram says, they clearly are not. I get so many robocalls for insurance. So someone has the membership rosters. Unfortunately, Rambo, that's because NAR sold your data to those companies, and that's why they're calling you. So historic membership report. This is what the last NAR data was that we had through January of 2024, and that's when the report came out at the beginning of February, saying that there was a decline in NAR membership, and it wasn't like a giant decline; it was a little decline. But then they said that because of the verdict, because of so many companies now not requiring their agents to be a part of NAR, and because of some real estate agents losing faith in the organization, they didn't say that part, but they anticipate a continued drop in membership throughout 2024, and I think they said 2025. And now I don't know where. How are we going to find out? So I'm waiting for a news organization to take this up, and Broke Agent Media had this report. I didn't see it on Inman. I didn't see it on like CNN or any other news outlets. So I'm waiting for a journalist to take this up and say, all right, well, I'm going to do the research and find out. If you're a real estate agent and you reach out and ask for the membership data, they will tell you, here's your local MLS data. So they won't tell you the nationwide number. They will tell you your local board numbers, not MLS numbers. They'll tell you the local board numbers. So it appears that what's the word I'm looking for? The purveyors of transparency are becoming less transparent because they're hiding the membership data. Interesting. NER's past monthly membership reports were detailed. So one can anticipate that they would take a lot of time to put together, and that could be better used for something else. So that was one of the other questions. Maybe they're just not putting the data together because half of their assets were wiped away by this lawsuit and somebody got fired and they don't have the money to continue to publish the reports. Maybe. When Broke Agent Media asked a rep from member support about this, they reiterated that reports from local boards are still available to members, noting that membership counts fluctuate very often, so it requires a lot of updates. Without a clear explanation from NAR, industry professionals are left to draw their own conclusions, which is what we're doing on the show today there. What's up, Scap? Scap, you're an appraiser. Do you guys have an appraiser trade organization that publishes membership reports?
Well, we have organizations that will publish things, but not like in depth. I mean, because there's so many different ones out there. So yeah. I mean, we get stuff, but it's a mix and match of whatever they decide to put together.
Interesting. I kind of was, as I was reading this, I was wondering what other organizations out there are publishing their membership data like that. And I couldn't really find a lot of them. So it could be that they're just looking around saying, why are we doing this? No one else is doing this. We're not going to publish our membership data anymore. It also, I mean, it's definitely protectionist, but I could see how they could say, well, no one else is publishing their membership data. I'm not going to start, or I'm not going to keep doing it. So big news coming out of CoStar as well. They had a very good Q1. You might recognize CoStar as the company that also owns Homes.com. Homes.com had the big Super Bowl ad talking about how they're going to be the local experts and that they're going to gather all this information for home buyers, and they want buyers to go to their website because they have all the info. CoStar Group tallies Q1 revenue growth on success of Homes.com. CoStar Group revenue grew 12% year over year to $656 million in Q1, according to earnings released Tuesday. CEO Andy Florence credited the change to Homes.com's traffic subscription growth. If you haven't been called by Homes.com, they're going to call you and ask you about the area information and interview you probably. CoStar Group train just won't stop. Virginia-based commercial and residential real estate behemoth released its first quarter earnings on Tuesday, revealing that the company grew its revenue 12%. Company remained profitable, although its net income dropped 91% from $87 million to $7 million. They had a lot of expenses. I mean, Super Bowl ad, right? The CoStar Group founder, Andy Florence, said it was proud of its company's performance, which includes a wide-ranging portfolio of 15 commercial and residential real estate brands. So CoStar is behind LoopNet, Apartments.com, Homes.com, CoStar, which is like the commercial MLS. And did I say Homes.com? Yeah. Those are their big ones. But there's also a whole bunch of other things that they do as well. There's like an auction site and some other stuff. Let's see. This is by far the strongest sales launch of any product in the company's history, and we're raising our sales revenue forecast for Homes.com for the full 2024. Florence said traffic to Homes.com reached 156 million monthly unique visitors in March, according to the internal Google Analytics data. He said those metrics put them ahead of Realtor.com and Redfin in terms of website traffic, which is a key performance indicator. We believe that Homes.com.
Do you believe that?
Well, I mean, that's what they're saying according to Google Analytics data. So
Every third party traffic ranker that I've looked at, it's nowhere near. And as far as the leads that I get on, let's say, a rental that goes kind of out to everybody,
yeah,
it's a fraction, if any. So I don't know.
What do you mean a rental?
So like a rental listing where it's on Zillow, or you put it on Zillow.
Yeah.
It populates to Realtor.com. It populates to apartments. It populates to homes.
Okay.
And you can kind of see it's like a low level, just a relative exchange of where traffic is coming from.
Yeah.
And I might get one hit from Realtor.com, or not Realtor, but Homes, and from Zillow or Realtor, I'll get exponentially more.
Interesting.
And also on listing views, like if you, because they are pretty transparent with like view counts, I think, on Homes.
Yeah.
It's a fraction of like Zillow, which is the only other one that you can kind of really see view counts.
So I
don't know. I'm no fan of Zillow. I just don't trust their numbers.
I just put up the SEMrush and analyst, and I've used SEMrush for my website, and it's fairly accurate in some ways. So I just put it up there. Their number updated February of 2024. They're ranked 13th in the real estate category. Zillow is number 1. Craigslist it's number 2. Lebanon Coin in France is number 3. Realtor.com is number 4. Redfin number 5. Rightmove.co.uk is number 6. Let's see. I think Rightmove may be owned by CoStar. I know CoStar has a UK company. Idealista is a number 7. Immobilin Scouts 24.de. What is that? That is number 8. Realestate.com.au is number 9. Apartments.com is 10. Fundamental is number 11. 12 is immobilier.it, and 13 is homes.com. I wonder if they're adding homes.com plus apartments.com plus is it Rightmove? Is Rightmove owned by, I can't remember, but I know that CoStar has a UK product.
And
I'll try to
the way
find
they sell promotion, if you've done a transaction in any city,
yeah,
you will be among the first that populate. So let's say you did a transaction, 50 miles away, and you're not really looking for business in that area. You're showing up as one of the top agents in that area.
I don't mind that.
It shows that it's sponsored.
At least they're using. So the reason why I don't mind that is because right now on other websites, you could pay to be listed in an area that you actually have never sold anything. So I like the idea of having to sell in order to be listed in that area. So at least the consumer knows that they've sold something in this area. It's not just like throwing you to 3 people who are going to call you back and bug you all the time and have never sold in that neighborhood. At least you have had to do something, which is beneficial to those of us that are selling. But you're right.
The downside.
Go ahead.
And let's say you have an area where you do a large volume of, and if you're not paying, you could be on the 3rd page of agents, but yet you know that area better than anybody.
But if you do pay and you have the high volume, you're like ranked first.
Yeah, I'm not advertising with them. I mean, I've done everything else, but just the fact that like spreading it out, I'd rather concentrate in areas that I want to concentrate in. And so you're paying for traffic for areas that you have that you might referral out or something like that.
That is true, but it's my understanding is it's one fee. You just pay one thing.
Yeah.
And you're listed everywhere that you've sold. So, yeah. I mean, for us, it's fine. But it does kind of give us some opportunities to maybe refer some stuff out in areas that we don't really sell a lot, but maybe we took that listing as a favor, or maybe we just sold something as a favor and we don't really do a lot over there. And now we're getting calls. I mean, you can just take the referral opportunity.
Yeah, that's
Michael
true.
Rowland.
I guess I just don't trust the traffic.
Yeah, the traffic numbers I've seen some debate on the traffic numbers. There's actually Realtor.com, Trulia, they're kind of coming out and saying, wait, I don't know if those traffic numbers are right. Now, on this website that I just talked about, SEMrush, Trulia.com is ranked number 15. So they're still back there. Realtors 4, Redfin's 5. Michael Rowland said it's really pushing listing numbers. Yes. That's what we see too, is it's trying to really push the agents that list in areas, which it's a different model. I don't mind that. I like it, but we'll see if it actually works as a lead generation tool. That's yet to be seen. I think I got like one connection from it in a month. And we sell a lot. So, that's what I asked. I asked, one of the reps, I was like, so if there's supposed to be a ton of traffic, that's great. Why isn't the traffic converting? What's the missing link? So I'm waiting to kind of figure that part out. All right. So back to the article. Florence at homes.com, you're listing your lead model, which is what Michael Rowland was saying. I've been able to use it at listing appointments. Oh, really, Michael? That's a great idea. Using where it shows you listed as a local expert. That's not a bad idea. Homes.com's your listing your lead model has always been an antidote to the agent and consumer frustrations, as evidenced by triple-digit traffic growth during the Q3 2023 that gave them a contested lead on Realtor.com and the second most trafficked residential portal. In the rest of the world, where agents have a listing, their name is on the listing, their phone number is on the listing, their brand, and there's branding happening. He said, only in the United States are these portals and brands, brand goes on the listing rather than the agent's brand. Interesting. I didn't realize it was different in other countries. All right. So when you have, as a real estate agent, you all know what is about to happen. You have a really, really good quarter. And what do we do as real estate agents when you just have a really explosive quarter? You suddenly make a ton of money. What do? We spend it, right? Well, isn't this time just like that time? Because that's exactly what CoStar's doing. So CoStar is going to acquire the 3D scanning company Matterport for $1.6 billion. Matterport's board of directors unanimous. I'll try to say that again. Yeah, Olivier said, a brand new car. That is what a lot of agents do. Get that Range Rover in there. So Matterport's board of directors unanimously approved the deal to be finalized later this year. CoStar purchasing its outstanding stock of $5.50 per share, $5.50 a share, reflecting equity value of $2.1 billion. CoStar Group has expanded with the acquisition of Matterport to the dominant 3D scanning company whose products and services create digital replicas of homes, buildings, and other spaces. It was announced Monday morning. CoStar's purchase of Matterport's outstanding stock at $5.50 a share, reflecting equity value of $2.1 billion, according to the company. The enterprise value is $1.6 billion. Stockholders will receive $2.75 in cash and $2.75 in shares of CoStar Group stock. The company didn't share details about what it might mean for real estate professionals, and that's what I want to ask you guys. What does that mean for real estate? If you have a big portal like CoStar that's trying to make inroads into the residential sector, but is already very well trafficked in the commercial sector, what does Matterport mean? It's a ton of data, right? All the 3D scans everywhere is a ton of data. What are they going to do with the data? What is the plan for the scans? Is it just going to be, are they buying it to build it into their software? Are they buying it to say, hey, now that you're a CoStar user, you can upload the 3D scan easier than ever to be viewable through the CoStar system? Are they buying it to put it on homes.com like that? I would assume it's going to hit the residential a little first because, no offense to commercial agents out there, but they're a little behind on the tech. So I assume that it's going to be more trafficked on the homes.com portion, or are they buying it just to have the asset, use it, and then keep Matterport out there as a totally separate company, still operating kind of what they're doing with apartments.com and homes.com and CoStar. They're still operating those almost as separate companies under one big umbrella. Olivier said they bought Matterport for the data gathering. I don't know. That's what I'm curious about that. We know that Google has Google Street View, and they also have a version of Google Street View that allows you to go into a business. So if you have an office right now, you could do a 3D scan of your office and then upload that to Google, and then people can use Google Street View and walk into your office and walk around and see it. And it was when it first came out, there were a lot of offices doing some fun stuff, and doing funny things inside of their office. So I'm curious to know what Matterport is going to do with this. And I feel like it's going to be something in the commercial space similar to what Google did, and then just making it more easily accessible or readily available through homes.com. I wonder if they're going to put together like a listing, some kind of listing package. If you're an agent and you are using homes.com to market your listings, then, hey, you also get to do a 3D scan for free. I don't know. I'm curious why is Matterport buying, or why is CoStar buying Matterport? Is it going to be more used on the commercial side, residential side, apartments? I could see tons of uses for it, but I don't know if they're going to just like fold it in technology wise, or if they're going to let it just sit there as another asset. Del Schaefer says, do you use Matterport? Yes. I use Matterport for a lot of the listings. Michael Rowland says, my listings have been popping up on weather.com and YouTube, etc. Oh, interesting. So Michael pays for homes.com, and because of that, homes.com is pushing his listings out to the partner through the partner ads. That's interesting. I'm also on that, but I haven't seen my listings pop up. Are you asking people to like send you screenshots of that, Michael? Because maybe I should put that out there. Like, if you see one of our listings, screenshot it and send it to me. Eureka said maybe they want a library of houses. We use Matterport machine and scan all of our homes. You can get all the floor plans that way. Those floor plans are copywritten now. I'm sorry, I was talking over Clubhouse. Who wanted to add?
Oh, I was going to say maybe the guy from Schitt's Creek is actually really the CEO now.
That would be amazing, actually.
That was the decision.
Those ads, a lot of people hated those ads. I thought they were clever. It's kind of funny I thought they chose good actors, and I thought they were good ads. I didn't have any problem with the ads, but there were some people that hated them.
And I think I saw something recently that floor plans you're not able to copyright them for certain uses. So as far as like on Zillow now, they have a thing called Showcase, and they do a floor plan. And I would imagine if those floor plans were truly copywritten, they wouldn't, put it up there. But there was a ruling within the last 6 months. I saw it somewhere that you are able to use them for certain purposes.
I just found it, October 24th, 2023. So this was a court case we were following, but I missed this update. Floor plans fall under fair use. So here's a flashback. I need to wait. Hang on. I wonder if I'm going to get hammered if I do the I shouldn't do it. There's a great song, The Time Warp. I'm not going to do it. I'm worried that I'm going to get struck with a copywritten thing again. All right. So this is federal court says floor plans fall under fair use. This is from NAR. There it is. All right, here you go. Thanks for that, Mike. This article was edited on February 7th to reflect updates that were made to the version that appears winter of 2024 hasn't happened yet, has it? I guess I'm in 2023. The real estate professionals may continue to use floor plan drawings when marketing listings. A federal court has ruled. The court's ruling protecting this practice is a major victory for the real estate industry, which has long ruled on two-dimensional renderings to offer prospective buyers the idea of a home's layout. Series of lawsuits dated 2019 accused real estate agents of violating copyright laws when using floor plan drawings. Interesting. That's what we talked about. And where we said, well, you buy the house, but maybe you don't own the floor plan too. So now that's fine. So you guys can use the floor plans when you're marketing a home, which means, I mean, that seems to give more value, in my opinion, to the Matterport deal that CoStar just struck. I would think that that's like, okay, now if we can use floor plans for stuff to gather data and all kinds of information, then now it's even more valuable. Okay. Sorry, that was a spam message. I was reading the comments there. Okay. So let's keep going. Back to the rundown here.
Hey, Ray, really quick.
Yeah.
From an appraiser standpoint on floor plans, I'm just going to advise to caution on when you're using a lot of these Matterport things and QB Casas and a lot of other things out there, because a lot of them don't comply, or they say they do, but they don't comply with what we call ANSI standards, which ANSI standards is the standard that was adopted by Fannie Mae and Freddie for appraisers to use to measure to 1/10 of a foot, right. Determine above grade, below grade. A lot of these things won't include thickness of walls or whatever, so you could use them to give them a good general layout and everything, but I wouldn't really rely so much on them as far as square footage and things of that nature, because they can be off, especially on really large homes.
Right.
They can definitely be off. So just word of caution when you're using those.
Use them for marketing. Don't use them for measurement. Yes, I would agree. I would agree with that sentiment as well. Okay, so there was some news about the flat fee brokerage, Homey, in the Tribune, saying that they're going belly up, and Homey is coming back with a vengeance, saying, no, we are not. Flat fee brokerage Homey makes remarkable pivot amid upheaval. Utah-based disruptor moved our real estate agents from W-2s to 1099s, and other non-Homey agents were laid off, role redundancy. They also are operating right now without a CEO. So last year they went from hiring 1,000 people to now laying off several people as a, quote, handful of W-2 employees. 4 non-Homey agents were laid off last week due to role redundancy, and they moved agents from W-2s to 1099s, which is kind of normal. The Tribune is the one that said Homey was going belly up and would just continue to do referrals. CEO Mike Peregrina also has left the company. Through Peregrina's LinkedIn profile list, Homey is its current employer. I don't know why, why bother? What's the point of this sentence, Inman? Most people update their LinkedIn profile maybe once a quarter, maybe. So to say that a guy left the company, though he's still listed as their CEO on LinkedIn, he just didn't update it yet. Jeez. Edelman said in response to a question about Pergolea that he actually left in November. See? If it asked about Peregrina, I'm just butchering this guy's name, I'm sorry. After emailing him directly and receiving an apparently automated response saying he no longer works for the company. All right, so Homey is they were a flat fee type of brokerage that hired their employees with the W-2 model, so the agents were on salary instead of commission. And I think this is interesting because that was a big shift last year. People were just saying oh, this is the way to go. I guess it was 2 or 3 years ago. Through the whole pandy boom, people were saying, well, you need to hire your agents as W-2, you make more money, and this is how. It doesn't seem like that's working out for a lot of the companies that have done that, except maybe it doesn't Redfin, don't they have employees? But I think they've only had one profitable quarter. I could be wrong, so don't quote me on it. All right, so let's talk about the economy. Mortgage demand drops again, unfortunately. And obviously it's due to the rate. So mortgage demand drops as interest rates soar over 7%. The average contract interest rate for mortgages with conforming loan balances, $766,000, increased to 7.24% from 7.13%. In response, applications to purchase a home fell 1% and were 15% lower than the same week a year ago. ARM share of mortgage demand rose, which often happens as interest rates rise. So applications to refi a home, which are most sensitive to weekly interest rates, 6%. So interestingly, you still had people applying for mortgages. It's not like there's no one. It was only down 1% from the previous week, but it's still down 15% for the previous year. And if you recall, last year, it was also down from the previous year. So we've had a couple of redundant down years. Purchase applications declined as home buyers delayed their purchase decisions due to strained affordability and low supply, said Joel Kahn, MBA's deputy chief economist. I don't think this is surprising to anyone. I still feel like the show we did not too long ago saying 6 is the new 4. I think that's accurate. I think when rates are in the 6s, I mean, buyers seem to be flooding into the marketplace. And as soon as they hit upper echelon of 6s or 7s, it just gets a lot quieter, which means if there are homes, there seems to be a lot of inventory starting to come back on the market, it's still not great, but there are some. So if there is more inventory starting to hit the market and there are fewer buyers in the marketplace, then this, if you're a home buyer, if you need to purchase, this could be a great time for you because there's very limited competition. If you wait and rates do go down to 5.5% or 6% towards the end of the year, like several are predicting, then you could be in a situation where home prices just go through the roof. So the best time to buy is when you need to buy. All right, so Redfin Home Price Index. This is their new thing that they started, I guess, this year. Kind of correlates with the CoreLogic Home Price Index. Says home prices climbed 0.6% from a month earlier on a seasonally adjusted basis in March, matching February's 0.6% month-over-month gain as well. On a year-over-year basis, they rose 7.3%. So little has changed from the prior months. That's a 7% annual increase. This is according to Redfin Home Price Index, RHPI, which uses the repeat sales pricing method to calculate seasonally adjusted changes in the price of single-family homes. What happened there? Elevated mortgage rates were putting a cap on home price growth. Sellers can't jack up prices like they did during the pandemic because buyer budgets are already constrained by 7% interest rates, said Redfin senior economist Shahari Bokhari. I'm sorry. But home price growth is leveling off. Prices remain at historic highs. That's because of the shortage of homes for sale, largely driven by the mortgage rate lock-in effect. So this is becoming more and more clear. And this is the show title for today was the real reason why housing inventory is down. And this is it. 40% of homeowners couldn't afford their home if they were to buy it today. So 40% of people living in a house now, if they had to go back out on the market today, could not purchase the current home that they are in. That is wild. That is why fewer resale homes are listed for sale. Because as long as you have that number, you have people that are like, well, I would love to move. We need more space, but there's no way I can't even afford the current home that I'm in. There's no way for me to get something that's bigger. And then why would I downsize? Because if I downsize right now, I would actually be paying more for a home that's smaller than the one I'm in. So nearly 2 in 5 homeowners don't think they could afford to buy their home today. Redfin survey, if you were looking to purchase a home, do you think you could afford a home like yours in your neighborhood? Definitely could afford it, 20%. Probably could afford it, 21%. Might not be able to, 19%. Probably not, 19%. Definitely could not, 18%. So is that up to 38%? This is according to a Redfin Commission survey of 3,000 U.S. residents. Now, I also have to put the caveat there that they probably could afford it if they went to a lender, talked with a lender. I mean, it's kind of like going to the doctor. A lot of people don't want to go to the doctor because they're afraid of the bad news that the doctor is going to give them. I think in a 7% interest rate environment, a lot of people don't want to go to the lender because they're afraid of the bad news the lender is about to give them. When in reality, you could be pleasantly surprised. You may not be, but you could be pleasantly surprised. So part of this is the fear of the unknown and just kind of assuming that, there's no way I could buy it because of the news that's out there and the prices. But that is enough to keep people in their home though. It doesn't have to be actual fact. It just has to be the fear. And the fear is what will prevent people from listing. So the first, I had a friend of mine, a client of mine call yesterday and say, hey, I'm fixing to move. Where do I start? He has a great home now, moving to another city. I said, we'll start with a lender, see where you are on the affordability, see if you can keep your home because it's got a ridiculously low interest rate. See if you can keep your house and just go buy another one instead of selling it. And if he can, that's going to be great for him. If he can't, well, he's going to have to sell because he's got to move. So that's going to add inventory to the market. But then the home he's going to buy, he's not going to get nearly as much house as he currently has. And his monthly payment is going to be about the same. But he could still afford to move. He can't afford, or he may not be able to obtain the home that he's currently in. But I still recommend go to the lender, talk to the lender and figure it out because it depends. Nearly 3 in 5, 59% of homeowners who answered this question have lived in their home for at least 10 years. And another 21% have lived in their home for at least 5 years. That means the majority of respondents have seen housing prices in their neighborhood skyrocket since they purchased their home. The median U.S. home sale price has doubled in the last 10 years and has shot up 50% from 5 years alone. So this brings up another point about this. If they're saying, well, I can't afford the home that I'm in. If you told them, okay, let's say somebody's sitting in a home worth $500,000. They bought it 10 years ago. And maybe they're sitting on,
unknown caller.
Unknown caller is calling. I don't know why that happens. It's still on. Yes, it's still on. Do not disturb. Sorry. Anyway, let's say somebody's sitting in a home that's like $500,000. They have $250,000 in equity, but you just asked them, could you afford to buy the home that you're currently in today? And they would look at, $500,000 house. What is that? Let me go to bankrate.com. Oh no, man, there's no way I could afford it. But then you told them that, well, what if your down payment was $250,000? Well, yeah, they could take their equity and afford the home that they're in. So that's also the other reason to go talk to somebody. Figure out where you stand, how much your home would sell for, and if you could cash in your equity to buy a home that you really want. Because in reality, life is too short to live in a home that you don't love. So if you're sitting in a house and you don't like it, if you're sitting in an area, in a neighborhood, you don't like it, how much more of your life do you want to spend there? You only have one life to live. All right, so another interesting article, anytime you see the escalation in home prices and affordability, predictably, you start to see home prices in luxury markets start to go down. Well, that's not really what's happening. The typical U.S. luxury home costs more than ever before. So luxury home prices in the first quarter rose 9% year over year, twice as fast as non-luxury prices. Sales of luxury homes rose 2% compared to 4% decline in sales for non-luxury homes. And luxury sales outperformed, partly because elevated mortgage rates aren't a deterrent for many luxury buyers. So this is the time where luxury home buyers appear to be getting a deal using cash, probably a lot. Total luxury homes rose 13% year over year. It's the biggest increase on record, and new listings soared nearly 20%. Still, supply remains below pre-pandemic levels, which is part of the reason why home prices remain elevated, even in the luxury space. So you can see the chart. It's a good chart for luxury prices rise at twice the rate of non-luxury home prices. So that's pretty wild. You can see a huge spike in 2021 in both luxury and non-luxury. I will say this chart is talking about the increase, the percent increase. So whenever you see a huge dip from the peak at 2022 all the way down to 2023, there's a giant drop off. that just means that home prices didn't go as high, but that number is still above zero. So home prices may have increased 1% that month versus the 20% increase the previous month. I hope that makes sense. So you're still seeing home price gains, but you're seeing the slowing down of home price gains, except in the luxury market. Okay, we got two more articles. New home sales. So anytime you see resale sales struggling or resale inventory struggling, you could bet that new homes are going to be making up a larger portion of the transactions. So sales of newly built single-family homes rose 8.8% in March, a reflection of the beginning of the busy homebuyer season. New home sales rose 8.3% year over year, according to the U.S. Census Bureau. Limited resale inventories continue to drive home buyers to new construction, as well as home builders' willingness to provide incentives to keep their inventory moving. Despite high prices and mortgage rates, home buyers have limited options on the resale market, although resale inventories have improved some over the course of the year. The willingness for the major home builders to utilize incentives such as price reductions, mortgage rate buydowns, and paying buyers' closing costs continue to support a healthy pace of new home sales. And we did see that. We saw a bit of a slowdown in the new home sales before they started offering incentives. Robert Frick, a corporate economist with the Navy Federal Credit Union, said that although the March figures from the Census Bureau were a good sign, much more inventory is still needed. The jump in sales is welcome, but not near enough, is the paraphrase of his quote. So new home sales are doing better than resale sales, it appears. Not as far as numbers, because the new home sales are always going to be a much smaller portion of the sales. However, they're increasing at a much higher rate because they actually have inventory to sell. And then this is the last article I wanted to put out there. And Olivier gave me the source article. And anytime you see news on TikTok, just slow down and think about what you're reading or listening to, and use some critical thinking to say, is this true? Or maybe is there a different story here? So in Canada, you may have heard of the, I believe it's called a halal mortgage. Now, all over TikTok, they're saying, oh, now Muslims don't have to pay interest. What is this? Okay, but there's an alternate headline here that is, banks find loophole in Sharia law to lock Muslims in long-term debt. Like, that's the alternate headline. Or banks find a way to help Muslims purchase a home using their financial products. That's the kind way. Or you see that Muslims don't have to pay interest. All right, none of that is the truest sense, but those are all kind of the headlines that I've seen. So I just wanted to clear this up a little bit. So there is appears to be a new loan product that was approved in Canada. And I think somebody, who sent me this? Somebody also sent me an American version of this. Let me go to the headlines. There's a contributors chat that I just posted in my news, in my stories on Instagram. You can find me at Ray Zorback, RayZorback. Let's see. Andrew Scott Bank also offers this product as well. What city is this in? I don't see what city this is in, but this is in the U.S. All right. So anyway, basically, it is a mortgage product that does not have interest per se, but there is a carrying cost for the loan. So it's now the article says it's disingenuous to say that it's like the same thing, but if you get one of these loans, you're paying about the same as if you would get a regular loan. It's not money for free. Don't believe everything you see on the TikToks. As a matter of fact, Hijazi whose research is focused in Islamic finance products, says that people that get Islamic mortgages still pay a comparable amount that you would pay even if you got a conventional mortgage. It's just a different structure. So Marie said his Apple analogy was the best. Yes. In the contributor chat, Marie said, if you paint an apple blue, it's still an apple. So he goes on to say the Hijazi, I'm probably butchering names today, I'm sorry. Many people will look at Islamic finance and say, instead of paying interest, you're paying profits. So really it's the same thing. And I think that's disingenuous. How you get to the outcome really matters. And there's many, many religions where this is the case. So there you go. So I'm thinking about starting a Christian sect where you don't have to pay interest or taxes. So if you want to join, let me know. But there, I just wanted to clear that up because a couple of people sent me TikToks saying, what? They don't have to pay interest? What's going on? It's just a bank product, figuring out how to market it to a specific group of people. Kind of. I mean, maybe I'm jaded, but that's how I see the situation. And that's all I got for today. I do want to mention the contributor group again. My goal is to have far more discussions in there. We've just been super busy lately, got some stuff going on with the team. So hopefully we'll be having more discussions in there about articles coming up. I'll be sharing links to articles, getting your opinion on that stuff. I'll usually post like a couple of the bigger talking points and say, hey, I want your opinions on this, so that if you're in the contributor chat, you can like think about these things before you come on the show. You can do a little bit of research if you want to, and you could add your input and have a discussion on it. So look in my stories and join the contributor chat. And thank you guys. Please subscribe, do all the YouTube-y things. If you're on YouTube, share it with somebody in the real estate industry that you think may want the real estate news. The reason why I do this is to have the discussions and interaction with you guys, because there's not a whole bunch of money in it yet. So, but thank you guys for joining the show, and I will see you in 2 weeks. Maybe I'll figure out some kind of special or something to do next week. There is a Fed announcement, so maybe we'll do like an emergency thing from the beach. All right, guys. I'll see y'all next time.